गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. So, we are in Ishavasya Upanishad, and I think it is the third satsang on it. But today we begin with the first verse and the not first verse. We start with the Bhashya, Sambandha Bhashya, and it says, Ishavasyam ityadayo mantraha karmasu aviniyuktaha. This Ishavasyam, all the mantras that are coming in the Ishavasya Upanishad, they are not coming under the category of karma. Karma means action. Action means what? You remember? I keep repeating it. Action means where doership is associated with activity, then activity becomes action, right? So here it says that Ishavasyam, etc. mantras do not come under the category of karma, under the category of action. What is the significance of this statement? The significance of this statement is that you don't have to put any efforts. Okay, let's put it this way. Because karma means efforts, no? So what do we do then? See, again the question comes, what do we do? You don't do anything. then what should be our disposition? Sit quiet and listen, go to sleep, enjoy, or if it becomes too slow for you, then listen to Gita on Thursdays. Don't come to Wednesday class. So here it says that and why tesham akarma sheshasya atmanoho yathatmya prakashakatvat yathatmyam cha atmanah शुद्धत्व अपाप विधत्व ऐकत्व नित्यत्व अशरीरत्व सर्वगतत्वादि वक्ष्यमाणम. So what does it say here? He says that see, with regards to the previous one, that the mantras, these 18 mantras which are coming in this Ishavasya Upanishad, we do not apply any karma, we do not apply any action in these mantras. And in the first satsang itself, I told you that Arjuna did not do any activity, he did not do anything in order to understand the Bhagavad Gita. Parikshit Maharaj, he did not do anything in order to realize while listening to Bhagavad Mahapuran. Parvati Maya, she did not do anything when she listened to the sutras from the Lord Shiva. See? And we have explained this before. I'll keep repeating it anyway, so that because the approach is different to the Upanishads. Here, there's nothing to be gained. It's a gainless gain. And therefore, here it says that the mantras which are to be used for karma are given in the Brahmana portion of the Vedas. Some of you must have seen one link, not link, forward I sent on Wednesday class group about how the Vedas and the different aspects of it and etc. So Brahmana portion is the portion which deals with karma part. Then Upasana portion deals with the mind single pointedness part. And Upanishad, some people say it deals with jnana, knowledge, but actually speaking, this Upanishad in Brahmana portion, you have to do something. You have to offer ahutis, you have to offer oblations into the fire. In Upasana, you have to chant mantras. Om Sahasra Shirasha Purushaha Mano Vache Ya Chodita Ya Chanudita Tasya Vache Namo Namo. You keep chanting Rudram. And it helps to make you purified, to make you single pointed. But when we come to Vedanta, we have given up all of our efforts. We have given up our efforts. So here he says, so with regards to the karma kanda, the mantras are given in the Brahmana portion of the Vedas. Which portion are we with? We are in the portion of Upanishads. Upanishads are considered as the head of the Vedas. So the verses of this Upanishad, if they are not meant for karma kand, then their purpose must be something different. Now let's explore what could it be. Then he says here that here when he says that tesham akarma sheshasya atmano yathatmya. See, Atma is, here he says, Atma is not a result of any action. Atma means self. Self is not a result of any action. Now you understand where action takes place? Kaya, Vacha, Manasa. Correct? 3 places. Body, speech and thoughts. The self is not something which is going to be revealed by any of these 3. Then Swamiji, what are you doing? I'm speaking about it. Isn't it? This is not the way the Upanishads were taught openly for everyone. People had to be qualified in order to listen to Upanishads. But because of the times we are in, it's becoming available to everyone. So we are product of these times. So it says that Atma is not a result of any action, but when we study them, when we study these mantras in the Upanishads, in this Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, they indicate what reality is. They indicate what that reality is, and the word used for that is yathatmyam. Yathatmyam means as it is. Yathatmyam means just what is the essence of a sweet meat. If you take a laddu, or if you take an ice cream, or if you take a rasagulla, what is the essence of it? Are you eating it for flour? Are you eating it for its shape? Are you eating it for its fragrance, or are you eating it for its taste? Isn't it? So what is it in essence? Sweet. Same way, Yathatmam here means what is our essence? This Atma is our essence. And this is to be explored. This is being indicated by these verses, the 18 verses that are going to be there. And then what does it say? Yathatmyam cha atmanah shuddhatva. That this Atma is pure. What is purity? What is impurity? Impurity is sense of otherness. That is impurity. In this Atma, there is no sense of otherness. It is complete. Because remember how we began this book in this Upanishad. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. That was the Mangalacharan. That was the invocation. So this Atma is Shuddha. So that Ashuddhi means that which is other than the original. So that is Ashuddhi, and Atma is unlike that. So what is then Atma? If we say Ashuddhi is something other than, then Atma will be in which there is nothing to be called other. Self is that in which there is no otherness. In the waters, there is no otherness of ocean and wave. Differences are there. Yes, these expressions are there of the water. But water doesn't feel ocean is separate from me. Water doesn't feel the wave is separate from me, or the tsunami is separate from me, or the tide is separate from me, or those bubbles are separate from me. It doesn't feel that way. Because essence is water only, no? So, Atma or the self or the truth is that in which there is no sense, no otherness. There is no otherness. And that word is being used here. Shuddhatva, apapa vidhitva. Apapa vidhitva, Atma does not suffer any sins. So it is free from papa punya. Now make it subjective. What do you think you are? You are doing various rituals, you are doing your pujas, you are listening to satsang. That if we realize it's okay, but at least we will collect merit while we are listening to satsang. That if we do pilgrimages, if we go to temples, and we will collect some merit that we did good deeds, That's where our attention goes. Apapa vidhatva. So Atma is that where there is no papa punya, there is no sin or merit. The next word is ekatva. It is ekatva. It is one and only one. Ekatva. Our Guru Granth Sahib also begins with Ik Onkar Karta Purukha. Ik Onkar. Ik, one. One without a second. That is our Atma. That is Atma, and that I am. Don't forget this part. We are not talking about some concept. We are not talking about some idea. When we are saying these words cannot take you to the self. That self we are talking about is your nature. So don't outsource it. So ekatva, one, only one, or one, only being one. And in this, no, what is being one? Being one means that in which there is no objectivity at all. There is no objectivity possible. From water's point of view, there is no objectivity or cognizance of ocean and multitude of waves. So what is the disposition of water? I alone am. from its point of view, isn't it? From gold's point of view, I alone am. It can't see the differences of ornaments because it is in and through, it is all that there is. So ekatva. Then next one is nityatva. Nitya, here the what do you call, the conditioning of the time is eradicated. So it is not bound by time, it is not conditioned by time. It is that in which time has got no meaning. Time has only meaning where there is two. That's when the first unit second comes, isn't it? So at the relative level, yes, time is there, no doubt. Time is control. Time is the factor which is making the whole thing go around. But what is this Atma that we are talking about? Atma is that which is transcendental to the time. When we use this word transcendental to the time, I am just loudly contemplating here. That means time is there but it is not affected. No, in self, in the truth, there is no possibility, or I should not say possibility. Yes, from self point of view, there is no possibility of time. There is no conditioning of time possible. Let's put it that way. Then the next one is ashariratva. Ashariratva means that this Atma, this truth, this self is that which supports, it doesn't have a body of itself, but it supports all the bodies. Water doesn't have a form, but it supports all the oceans which have forms and all the waves which have forms. See how beautiful? Space has got no form, but it supports the entire universe which is made up of forms. So the self that I am, here it is being told, this is just introduction. The self is that which itself is without form, no conditionings possible, it is one without a second, it is the only one, but it is supporting, what did it say? Yeah, it supports all the forms. Ashariratva. Sharir means body. Asharir means without any body. What will it be? Will it mean that even though having no body, yet supporting all the bodies? Gold has got no form, yet it supports all the ornaments which have a particular form, correct? Mud has got no form, but it supports all the pots which have a form. See how wonderful? Now start thinking as we are going through this, start applying it to yourself. I am that who has got no form, but I am supporting all the forms. Start accepting it. And if you accept, what are you going to lose? Only one thing, you will lose your mind, that's all. That's what we want. So look at it, don't look at it from here. Let the mind listen. But the angle of approach, the disposition is from the Atma that I am, the self that I am. So self has got no form, so maybe I am wrong somewhere in my conclusion that I have got this form. Leave it for later verses, once it unfolds. So I am essentially the one who has no form, yet supporting all the forms. Ashariratva. Keep applying it to yourself. Don't look at it in the second or the third person. Keep working on the first person. And the last one is Sarvagatatva. Sarvagatatva means that which is pervading everything and everybody. So first we said it was Ashariratva. having no form. Now second, sarvagatatva, that it is supporting everything, inert, sentient and insentient, inert and conscious beings, inert things and conscious beings. It's supporting. How does it support? By pervading everything. It supports by pervading every. Sarva gatatva. Sarva means all. Gatatva, gati means movement. See? So this is not, but where will it move? Movement is possible when there is two. So here again the shortcoming of the language. So sarva gatatva is this Atma is pervading all the inert and the sentient beings, inert things and sentient beings, and therefore, once we come to this conclusion, or as we are thinking, the Sambandh Bhashya is Shankaracharya ji is saying that if it is pervading everything inert and living, and it is one without a second, now automatically the conditioning and limitation of space, time and objectivity is gone. You cannot take it to be true. See, Shuddhatva, first was Shuddhatva, Apya Vidhatva, then third was Ekatva, then was Nityatva, and then it came to Ashariratva and Sarvagatatva. See? And Shankaracharya, the Upanishad and the Shankara, our great master Shankara, Adi Shankaracharya, he is trying to put forth. First he said, self is not a result of any action. No amount of meditation, no amount of purification, no amount of doing dana, dharma, etc., no amount of building temples, no amount of feeding people, nothing is going to help you with self-realization. Because all those are extrovert pursuits. Then not only that, when a person has sorted that out, so if there is any remnants of doership left, see, when we approach the Upanishad, this is the qualification of the student. See, that if you are coming to this Upanishad, you must have sorted out all these things in your life. See, you are coming here only for one purpose, with only one thought in your mind. And what is that? To be, to not to know. Okay, be or know. Both are same. To be the self and to know the self. Because knowing is being. And this knowing has to happen without thought. We have to glide into it while we are listening. We have to glide into it. While we are thinking of sleep, we glide into sleep. So in this way, the Sharira is a form. So form, who allows form to express itself? Space. So space is rejected as a result of this last statement, Sarvagatatva. Sarvagatattvadi vakshamanam taccha karmana viruddhyeta iti yukta eva aisham karmasu aviniyogaha. So he says that so do not get lost in action. That's what he is saying. uh, कर्मणा विरुध्येत iti. So do not get lost in the karma. Then what do we have to do? One moment. If we are lost in karma, karma happens only when we are far away from the reality. We are far away from the self. Right now you are the self, but you are thinking you are the body. You are thinking thinking that you are thinking. You are addicted to activity. And when our focus is on activity, one must understand that that I am far away from the reality. Then what do I have to do? Okay, now you use, make yourself available. So there were many ways. If you make yourself available at the body level, then you do the rituals, the pujas. If you make yourself available at the mind level, then you do the upasana, take the name of the Lord, do japa, go to temples, go to pilgrimages, etc., etc. But if you consider yourself to be the Atma, not the body, not the mind, but the Atma, now what you are going to do? Nothing. Because Atma is not a result of any activity. Nothing you can do in order to reveal the Atma. Because that is your natural state, that is your essential nature, that is your essence, not only your essence, but it is one without a second. We are told that in the previous thing. Now, here he says, Nahi evam lakshanam atmano yathatmya utpadyam vikaryam apyam sanskaryam kartru bhoktru rupam va yena karma sheshata syat. So here he says, this Upanishad that we are discussing, it cannot be first. What is it? It can't be utpadyam. It cannot be created. What cannot be created? The self cannot be created. Activity always gives a result, isn't it? Think. Activity always gives a result. So by saying utpadyam, it is not a result of any activity. So it is not created. There is no doership involved in it. But if we look at it as self is something that I have to reach, I have already created, taken a position that I am separate to the reality. So I have to reach. Therefore I have to grasp it. Therefore I have to merge into it. Therefore I have to realize it. Isn't it? Why? Because I think I am separate from it. But what is this Atma or the self? It is uncreated. It is my nature. It cannot come about as a result of any activity. We have already talked about that now. Here the point taken is utpadyam, that it is not created. Then next one is the second is vikaryam. Vikaryam is it cannot. Vikar means change. It cannot be changed. Atma cannot be changed. The self cannot be changed. We tried that in the Om Purnamada Purnamidam. That is full, complete. That is whole. Out of that, this is taken out. What remains behind is whole, and what comes out is also whole, complete, full. So vikaryam, no modifications are possible, no change is possible within the in the Atma. So first was utpadyam, second was vikaryam, and the third word is vikaryam apyam. Apyam means that na apyam. It means it is not limited by space and object. Na apyam. It is not something that which can be gained through efforts. Then it is not samskaryam, na sanskaryam. So the word samskar is what? Yeah. As a result of samskar, how would we put it?
Bondage family?
No. Samskaras are your disciplines, cultural leanings, how you have programmed yourself, your etiquettes, your morals, your all those things, ethics, all that put together, which you have programmed yourself consciously through lives. Well, here we are talking about only here, as you are at this moment. Whoever you are, your uniqueness is because of that samskara. So here he says, na samskaryam, that wherever there is vikruti, wherever there is change, there samskars are required. But Atma is not changing, so no samskars are required. And where na samskaryam, where are we? Na sanskaryam, na kartru bhoktru rupam. And also, Atma is that where there is no doership or enjoyership. Kartru is doership, bhoktru is enjoyership. Na kartru bhoktru rupam, va yena karma sheshata syat. Excuse me. So there is no doership and there is no enjoyership. Therefore, the purpose of this Upanishad is only to reveal the essential nature of the self. See? By studying this Upanishad, we are not creating Atma. We are not creating Atma. I take a pen, I make a drawing, I created a drawing. I take mud, I make a deity out of it, a form out of it. I have created something. I take the gold and I make an ornament. I have made something. So by studying Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad or any Upanishad, we are not creating something. We have not created realization. We have not created the self. We have not created the transcendence. We have not created going beyond doership and enjoyership. We have not created it. See? सर्वासाम उपनिषद आत्मा यथात्म्य निरूपणेन एव उपक्षयात. So this verse, that the entire Sarvasam Upanishadam, so all the Upanishads, not just this Upanishad, all the Upanishads are talking about the Atma alone, and they do not create the Atma, and you can only create something. See, it's so wonderfully that is told here. Not here, I'm putting extra words to it. Something can be created which was not present, which was absent before. So, that which was absent is now created. So what was absent? Take an ornament. What did you use to make the ornament? Gold. Was the gold present before? Yes. Is it present now? Yes. After you melt the ornament, is it going to continue to exist? Yes. So gold is not created. Then what did you use the gold to create? You created ornament. Was the ornament present before? No. Is it present now? Yes. Will it be present later? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. So form was not available before, form is available now. And form will be absent later. Correct? But gold is the continuous principle. So when we are talking about Atma, the self that we are, it is not created. Therefore, it is present before, it is present now, and it will continue to be present. But what do you feel? I was born, I am living, and one day I will die. Wrong conclusion. Therefore, suffering. Therefore, suffering. Don't forget that. You are listening to satsang not for my entertainment or your entertainment. You are listening to satsang or attracted to satsang because somewhere deep within your bosom you know that there must be some higher purpose to life. I can't be this miserable person. And till now I have not achieved the lasting peace, tranquility, contentment that I have been seeking. And therefore we keep coming to satsang again and again, wishing that it will click. See? Gitanam moksha dharmanam cha evam paratvat. So this is also told. Here the word before, in the previous verse again, it was told that in Bhagavad Gita, the moksha dharma is directed what towards this Atma. The purpose of whole Bhagavad Gita is what? It is to remove your wrong notions. That's all. Why does a person go to a psychiatrist? Huh? Why does a person drink? Why does a person drink? He wants to stop thinking. That's why he is drinking. And what is the thinking about? The load that he is carrying in his life. Of family, of possessions, of investments, of memories, or guilt of what I should not have done in the past, or anxiety of what will happen in the future. To remove all that clutter from the mind, he drinks, he goes to sleep, he takes drugs. Arjuna also, when he came to in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was also shattered. He didn't know what was right and what was wrong. When we live a life of attachments, then this is the natural course that your life will go in. And this non-decisiveness, meaning when you don't know what is right and wrong, it can catch you any time. Arjuna had no doubt throughout his life, never deluded, was very clear. But in the final battle of his life, which was meant for establishing of dharma, yet he broke down. Don't allow this to happen to yourself. And that is why we are approaching that we do not go into a breakdown as life happens. So the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, the moksha dharma is indicated, and by the and what is that? What is told in Bhagavad Gita, which is unlike in Upanishads? Even though Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Upanishads, I told you before, in the previous one or two classes, that all 18 verses here in Ishavasya Upanishad is 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. But for a common man, when we read Bhagavad Gita, even though the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to take you to moksha, but a common man, an average person, what is his disposition? He is lost in karma. And how is he lost in karma? Because he sees one Atma per person, one self per person he sees, an average person. And not a non-discriminative person, he sees one self per person. In the other words, you are seeing gold, separate gold in every ornament. You are seeing separate light in every bulb. Your attention is not on the continuous principle of light. Your attention is on specificity. See? And therefore, and this happens because he accepts himself to be the doer and the enjoyer. Therefore, he accepts that I can't control myself. How can I control? See, he is a different person. See, he is born from a different mother. See, he is looking different. Where is his attention? Where is that person's attention? On the form. And when we use the word yathatmyam, what does yathatmyam mean? As it is. What is the essence? So when we are moving in this world, is our attention on the essence or is our attention on the form? Will make the difference of your approach. If your attention is on the form, on the world, then you will feed, you will build temples, you will, as I said before. If your attention is on this form, my body, then you will do yoga. If your attention is on the breath, then you will do pranayam. If your attention is on the body, you may do rituals, puja, etc. If your attention is on the mind, then you will do upasana. And if your attention is on the self, that which is continuous, thoughts come and go, breath comes and goes, concepts come and go. So concepts at the intellect level or thoughts at the intellect level, breath comes and goes, activity comes and goes. But what is that which never comes and goes? I don't feel I have come and gone. When I am saying that I am a waker, the waker has come and gone. Did you know that he came and went yesterday? Yes. So which means you did not come and go. Waker came and went. So for that one flash of a moment, when I make that statement, for that flash of a moment, your attention goes to the unchanging principle. Like your attention goes, when we give you the examples, your attention goes to the gold or the water. But because of years of practice, wrong practice, our attention again goes back to the form. See? So for such people whose attention is on the kartrutva and bhoktrutva, the doership and enjoyership, for them karma is indicated. For them, karma shastra or dharma shastra is there. Do's and don'ts are there. The various, so many things are there in that. And in this way, so those people who feel that I have committed sin, I have done papa, I have done these activities. They are very meritorious activities. They are not sinful activities. So those people who are lost in doing good deeds and avoiding bad deeds, collecting merits and making sure that they don't collect demerit points in life. Such people, they become the culprits of this arrogance, of this culprit of this kartrutva abhiman. They have the arrogance of, they become the culprits of this arrogance. See. So here it says, Tasmad Atmanon Anekatva Kartutva Bhoktruttvadi Cha Shuddhatva Papa Vidhitva Adi Cha Upadaya Lok Buddhi Siddhim Karmani Vihitani. So those who are Kartrutva, Anekatva Kartrutva Bhoktrutva Adi. So those who see the Atma as many, those who are lost in doership and enjoyership, and those who are lost in purity and impurity, meaning those who are lost in sin and merit, meaning just the word here used is ashuddhatva, papa vidhitva, means those who are lost in duality, those who are lost in opposites. Cha upadaya lok buddhi siddhim karmani vihitani. For them, the karma kanda, for them, the philosophy of karma, philosophy of action is applicable. Because where is their attention? Their attention is on doership, enjoyership. Why is their attention on doership and enjoyership? Because they are accepted to be the form. As a result of this doership and enjoyership and acceptance of this form or identification only with this form, they are keeping all other forms as separate. And what did we define Atma as? Sarvagatatva. That it is pervading all the forms. It is pervading all the inert and all the living. Isn't it? And that is our nature. So we are living contrary. See? Think. So this karma upadesh, here it says, lok buddhi siddhim karmani vihitani. So that this karma upadesh is given to these people, for such people, not for those people, not for those who are wanting to come to Upanishads. If you come to Upanishad and you talk about karma, siddhanta, etc., we'll say, please go to another shop. Don't come to this class. Because you will get confused. Simple as that. You can understand the Upanishad only if your attention is on the self. All the text that we are doing, let it be the Bhagavad Gita or the Amrit Anubhav, there also everything I bring it back to the subject, to the self. We have to be subjective. Even more so because this is creme de la creme. There is nothing higher than the Upanishads. It is these Upanishads which say that once these words glide you into yourself, so you come to know yourself correctly. As a result of this, Again, I'm using this word as a result of this because I'm a seeker at the moment. Therefore, I'm using this word. You have to discard the Upanishad also. There's no scripture in the world other than the Upanishads or the Vedas which say you have to give us up also. That we are a part of relativity. That we are impure. From infinite point of view, they are impure. From relative point of view, they are sattvic. And remember, in Vivek Chudamani we saw, Vivek Chudamani, I don't know where all I'm talking about. Somewhere we saw that only, in Bhagavad Gita, that only through sattva we can become free of the gravity of sattva, rajas, tamas, isn't it? Of the relativity. We can become free of the gravity of relativity. But you cannot become free of the relativity by being in tamas, inertia. You cannot be free of relativity by remaining in rajas. Rajas is this kartrutva abhiman, doership and enjoyership. You can be free of relativity and relative stance only when you surrender, only when you become a nobody. And that is possible only in the sattvic, in the sattva. So in this manner, then he continues, यो हि कर्म फलेन अर्थी दृष्टेन ब्रह्म वर्चसादि न अदृष्टेन स्वर्गादिना च द्विजाति ही अहम न काणकुब्जत्वादि अनधिकार प्रयोजक धर्मवान इति आत्मानं मन्यते सोऽधिक्रियते कर्मस्विति हि अधिकारविदो वदन्ति. So here he says in this verse that those who are after who is desirous of karma phala, result of their actions. Karma phala is result of their actions. See, even the first lesson that Krishna Bhagavan gives to Arjuna is perform action but do not expect a result. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. See? For what do you have to do? Is there anything to do there? We propel action only when we have our attention on the result. We have a desire for the result. Then action gets propelled. Then it becomes a kartrutva. See? So here he says that karma phala, that a person, yohi karma phalena arthi drishtena brahma varchasadina adrishtena. So he says those who are desirous of karma phala, and for karma phala is of two types. What is that? First is Brahma Varchasa. Brahma Varchasa is here it says Drushtena. Drushtena means it is seen. Brahma Varchasa is seen by other people. You cannot see it. Others can see it. How? When you control your vitalities, when you chant the name a lot and you do a lot of karma, when you are performing actions without any when you do yoga, when you do pranayam, when you do puja, when you do japa, when you do samadhi abhyas. And it's not by after one day. You do it continuously with correct atmosphere inside. Then people will say, Arey yaar, see how bright he is shining. I'll send you one day, our photograph from the ashram. How all of us brahmacharis, how we are shining. Because 6 classes every day, 4 hours sleep, 5 hours sleep maximum. Whole day is tapasya. So when you do that, and what was the reason? The Brahma Varchas? Because our vitalities are in control, our energies are continuously moving upwards. We have got no time to waste. There's no time for fanciful thinking. Because that 1 hour gap between two classes, we have to do, we have already been given some assignment. Either we have to water the plants, or we have to sweep the ashram, or we have to wash the dishes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or we have been asked to do japa, or we have been asked to do puja, and first 6 months went only in recapitulating the Sanskrit grammar. So no time. There was no time to sleep also. But nobody was forcing us, huh? Remember, nobody was forcing us. We went there. I can't even say I went there. Everything fell in place that I found myself to be there. Things, the whole nature transpired in such a way. See? So people say, when we have karma phala, if I do this tapasya, so we do, vrata, we do fast, we do Navaratri fast, we do Sankashti fast. But that day, what do? We don't chant the name of the Lord. We are lost in all other things. On what special dish we are going to make today. Not how much, today I am giving rest to my stomach, so my energy which goes into digestion of the food throughout the day, let it be utilized for the name of the Lord now. Continuously chant. So when you do such type of austere tapas, then in such people, and why the people do it? Because they think tapasya is the way. And they may do tapasya at the level of body, they may do it at the level of speech, they may do it at the level of mind. Tapasya, we have seen in the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Tomorrow we will continue with that one. The last class about was tapasya, sattvic, rajasic and tamasic tapasya. Or at least I think we saw tamasic tapasya at the moment. See? So here he says that first, the karma phala is of two types. Out of the first one, the first type is Brahma Varchas. See, Varchas is like effulgence. People's face, the forehead, it's shining. Not because they put oil. It's because of the tapasya. Or because of the continuous application of their mind single pointedly towards something, then it comes. And why they have done that? Because they want a result. Either they want a siddhi, either they want a purification, either they want whatever. There is a wish, there is a desire which has prompted them to do such severe austerity. And this is seen by other people. You cannot see it. You only come to know when other people say, "Arey, you are looking a bit quite. Have you have lost color? You have become fairer. You have become darker. There is some shine on your face. You are looking different. Your eyes are shining. What did you do?" And then you go into the mirror, you still see yourself the same. You can't see any difference. But other people can see it. And then the second one is Dvijati. Dvijati is one who is born twice. After having born from mother, he is to be given the sanskar, he is given the yajna-pavit, and then he is then he becomes twice born. Dvija means twice. Dvi means twice. So twice born. And those who are, this is what the Upanishad says. Here it says, Dijat Drishtena Swargadina Cha. So cha Dijati Aham Na Kana Kubjatva Di Anadhikara. So those who are having any defect at the body level, they are not qualified to perform karma. Now, if I have a problem, if I have arthritis, will I be able to do Padmasan or Sukhasan? Not possible. Will I be able to sit in front of the fire sacrifice for 3 hours and do the homam according to the Vedas? My attention will not be on the mantras, my attention will not be in surrender on the higher, my attention will be on the pain in my knees. So any defect at the body level, Karna Kubja means he is having a hunchback, Karna means he who is blind or he who is not able to hear. Such any defect at the physical level, such a person is not qualified to perform the karma. Karma kand jo hota hai, that is not for them. Then for whom it is? It is only for those who are twice born and are perfect in health. Perfect in health means they are complete. So they are given this samskar. They are qualified. Such people are without any defects are qualified for karma, and they consider that this Atma is made up of many qualities, is having many qualities. See, and as a result, such people justify that they are, because it has got many qualities. What are the different qualities? Oh, Atma, because of Atma, take just example, the different siddhis, the powers, or different languages, or Sanskrit, physics, chemistry, mathematics. See? And then they say, oh, we have to learn this also, we have to study that also, we have to study this also. And in this way, they keep themselves involved in activity, meaning karma. Because they see the Atma as having many attributes. Understand the principle which we are trying to say. Karma, those who are addicted to karma, those who have a propensity for activity, action. Why they are having this propensity, this disposition? Because, and why do they get involved in so much activity? Because they think that this Atma expresses in many different ways, not only within myself, but also this Atma is many out there. So my wife is Atma, my child is Atma, my husband is an Atma, my parents are different Atmas. So because my parents are different Atmas, so I must serve them. Because my husband is a different Atma and I got married to this particular form in which another Atma is expressing, so I must follow the do's and don'ts and live according to the dharma. So for that dharma, there are so many things are told for everything. And then that person, such a person who is disposed to karma, then is just lost in kartrutva abhiman, that I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, I have to do that, I don't want to rock the boat, I don't want to show that I am interested in spirituality because I got my duties in the family. All these thoughts have gone through you, they have gone through me also when I went to the ashram. See? Every seeker goes through this, and it's okay, accept it. There's nothing. What we are trying to what Upanishad is trying to do is, or Shankar Bhashya is telling us that this is how it is. We are not here, we have not come to the Upanishad to refute it. We have not come to the Upanishad to take an opposite stance. We have come to the Upanishad to see that who we really are. And all the ideas that we have about ourselves, which were not leading us anywhere, just making us go round and round and round. Waking, dream, sleep, waking, dream, sleep, waking, dream, sleep, round and round. Birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, reincarnation, round and round and round. We want to escape from that. We want to come to the real understanding of this Atma. If we are addicted to activity, it is only because we think Atma is appearing as many. Or there are many Atmas, maybe we can say it that way. Our attention is not on the essence, which is one. If it was one, you will stop. Then there is nothing to achieve. Then there is no duties. Then there is no dharma. And therefore, such people, those who are addicted to this karma siddhant, they keep they are associated. They associate the Atma with dharma. Now, dharma, if you open a Sanskrit book, a dictionary, there is no one meaning of dharma. Many pages of meaning is given, and then it says continued. So it will depend. Where is your attention? So when your attention is on the husband, then your dharma is different, is something else. When your attention is on the parents, your dharma is something else. When your attention is on the children, your dharma is something else. When your attention is on the society, dharma means duty. Is something else. If your dharma is on doing good to the society, your dharma will be something else. When your dharma is on purification, when your attention is on Brahma Varchas, Tapasya, when your attention is on Swargadi. So remember the two karma phal we talked about, no, the two. The first was Brahma Varchas, the effulgence that appears on the body, on the face, which others can see. And the second one is, I said Dvijadi, but what is that Dvijadi? That is, they are continuously wanting to go to the heavens. See? And for that they are ready to kill also, because they think goal is heaven. Terrorists are like that only. They'll get 73 up there. So they have been given a tablet, a goli. They have been brainwashed into thinking that you perform atrocities here and you will get peace and tranquility, and all your desires will be satisfied in the heaven. And those who are following the karma siddhanta, they are no less. The aghoris are ready to do the karma by offering sacrifices of human beings and animals. The tantrics are ready to kill, drink, and there are 5 different ways they do it. So where is your attention? It is okay for them. Let them do. We are not here to change the world. When we come to the Upanishad, we are not here to worry about the world. If Atma is, remember, Sarvagatatva, the self is all pervasive. If it is all pervasive and that self I am, And if you accept that this whole universe is pervaded by me, not this me as the body, pervaded by me as the self, and don't keep it as an idea, try to be in that disposition. See, then will we try to improve? Does water try to improve any wave? Hey, why did you live so short? Let me extend your life. Why are you dying? I'll stop you from dying. Do they? Does the water say, hey, you are going and dying and dashing against the shore? Come. Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Varuna Devata, Om Varuna Devata. And water says, okay. Tathastu, I will not allow you to go and dash against the wave. Can he stop the wave from dashing against the shore or the rocks? Because water does not undergo any change. It is complete. Wave has the fear. What are you considering yourself to be? And in this way, then he says, and such people consider themselves to be qualified for, such people are qualified for the karma, and karma is done by a doer. Remember, karma cannot happen by itself. Activity does happen by itself. There is no doer of activity. The activity of sunrise and sunset happens by itself. Sun is not coming up or going down. Neither the sun is making the day or night. It is happening. Similarly, the activity at the body level, body, breath, mind, intellect level, it is happening. When does this activity convert into karma? When you get identified with the activity. When do you get identified with the activity? When you get attached to something. When you get attached to something, you have a desire for that. See? So when you are doing upasana, when you are a devotee, you have a desire for the Lord. Why you have desire for the Lord? Because you are thinking you are separate from Him. Therefore you have desire, isn't it? Otherwise, if you came to this conclusion that He is not separate to me, He is expressing in and through me, I cannot be other than Him, then the separation will vanish. And this is exactly what you are doing in Upasana. Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti. After that, you as a personality vanish. You transcend the waking, dream and deep sleep. Waking, Vaikhari, dream, Madhyama, deep sleep, Pashyanti, and you transcend that. Para. See? So, tasmad ete mantra atmano yathatmya prakashanena आत्म विषयम स्वाभाविकम अज्ञानम निवर्तयन्तः शोक मोह आदि संसार धर्म विच्छित्ति साधनम आत्मैकत्वादि विज्ञानम उत्पादयन्ति इत्येव मुक्त अधिकार्य अभिधेय संबंध प्रयो जनान् मंत्रान् संक्षेपतोः व्याख्यास्यामः. So therefore, with this all these mantras of the Ishavasya Upanishad, Tasmad, Ete mantraha, Atmano Yathatmya, Prakashanena. All these mantras are illuminating the Atma, are talking about the Atma. And who is this Atma? The self. Don't outsource it. Mantra revealing the essential nature and therefore the natural disposition of ours. That is our natural disposition. And therefore through these mantras, the ignorance which is expressing here, it says that so yathatmya prakashanena atma vishayam. So these mantras are illuminating the essence, and that is the self is the vishaya, and swabhavikam. अज्ञानम निवर्तयन्तः शोक मोह आदि संसार धर्म विच्छित्ति साधनम आत्म what is that sadhanam atmaikatwadi vijnanam utpadayandi. So here he says that that all the ignorance which is associated in the mind, and what is how do we know we have ignorance? This will be one question. I never think that I am ignorant fellow, but we come to know the cause only through the effects. And what is the effect? Shoka moha. Shoka is misery, moha is delusion. If you are not miserable, then it's good. Then continue to be so. But if we are miserable, if we are in pain, if we are having feeling the pangs of grief, dissatisfaction, discontentment, incompleteness, these Upanishads are like a mirror, that's all. So this natural ignorance which is associated in our mind is being removed through the verses of the Ishavasya Upanishad. Okay? And you don't have to do anything. Wonderful, isn't it? When you invest in share market, what do you people do? I don't know, but what I have heard, you put $1 and without doing anything you get back $100. Right? What effort did you put? Nothing. So is there any way that I can, without any effort, on one hand, dukkha nivritti, be free of all misery and bondage, and on the other hand, paramananda prapti, attain infinite bliss? See? So, Upanishads are the only means by which we can effortlessly come to abide in this knowledge of non-duality, where knowing is being. And in this way, then it says ityeva mukta adhikarya abhidheya sambandha prayojanan mantran sankseptoho vyakhyasamaha. So we the ignorance which appeared in our life as papa punya, merit demerit, hunger thirst, heat cold, all the opposites, all that is not removed one by one. Spontaneous combustion, blast. In one go, everything is removed. all the papa, punya, etc., all this is destroyed by us being the self, abiding in the self, knowing the self, whichever way you put it. And remember the first part of this today's talk, where what was the self? What is the self? There we talk Shuddhatva, Nishpapatva, Ekatva, Nityatva, Ashariratva. And on the other hand, we said it was Utpadyam, it was not na Utpadyam, na Vikaryam, na Apyam, na Sanskaryam, na Karta, na Bhokta. So one was the positive and the other was the negative. See? The reason I am taking Shankar Bhashya is because I could not have explained as good as Shankaracharya is explaining. Even though I gave a gist of all this in the first talk, but see how much detail is there? You can't remember all this. So best follow टूटी फूटी संस्कृत आती है उतना पढ़ लेंगे, and then we will see what he's saying. And when that cue comes, then automatically the mind starts with all the explanations. But the systematic way of approach of Shankaracharya, without leaving any word untouched, every word of this 18 verses will be explained in the correct context, which independently I may make mistakes. See? So when he says the abhidheya sambandha prayojana janan mantam saksheptoho vyakhyasamaha. So now he says that in this way the anubandha chatushtaya, the fourfold qualifications were told here, will be explained were explained, and by these mantras which we took today. And what was the fourfold qualification? The first thing that was told was, who is the adhikari? Who is the adhikari? For whom is this text? For whom is this text? Who is the person eligible to study Upanishad? I am asking you people.
A seeker, Swamiji.
No. Seekers can be of many categories. Seeker can be a karmakandi, seeker can be upasaka, seeker can be a follower of Sankhya Yoga.
Who wants to be with the self?
Mumukshu. For whom is this Upanishad? For that seeker who has intense desire for realization. He is not distracted by the world. He is not distracted by karma. He is not distracted by duties. He is not distracted by possessions. He is not distracted by relations. He's got nothing to achieve in this world. As our Swamiji says, nothing to do, nowhere to go. Now he is free. Because there is no itch, there is no eczema in the mind. The eczema of the mind is continuous desire after desire after desire after desire. And that desire is nothing like giving a dry bone to a dog. He keeps chewing it, thinking there is blood in it, and he is drinking his own blood. This is what desire is. Desire is a dry bone for the mind. By interacting with it, the mind feels it has achieved something. Nothing. So first part was adhikari. Adhikari is for whom is this text? It is for the mumukshu. Mumukshu is the one who has intense desire for liberation. Then the second part of this fourfold qualification is Vishaya. What is the subject matter of this text? The subject matter is Brahma Vidya. The topic is the self, the Atma. The topic is, what was it? Shuddhatva, Nishpapatva, Ekatva, Nityatva, Ashariratva, Sarvagatatva. This is the topic, Brahma Vidya, which is all pervasive, which is one without a second. It is the only one. In spite of the manyness, it is the one. How come it is one? Purnamada Purnamidam. See? So the subject matter is the Brahma Jnanam or Brahma Vidya. Then the third part is Prayojanam. What is the Prayojanam? What is the result of studying this scripture? What is the result? Moksha. You will get realized. You will be established in the self. Meaning, it is not that you have done something to establish. You will come to abide in the self as the self, which you are already. It will just become evident. It will be revealed. It will be discovered. Hey man, I have always been there. See? Then last one is the sambandha, the relationship. In what way is the text connected? The text is a means by which the teacher and the student come together. So here the seeker is we are the seekers. And who is that Guru Maharaj? We can take it as Shankaracharya, or we can take the self, the Upanishad. Who has given us the Upanishad? From where has the Upanishad come? It has been revealed to the sages, isn't it? So whose speech is it? They say it is the speech of the Ishvara. It's the speech of the Guru Maharaj itself, the Guru Tattva. So that Guru Tattva, that infinite reality, how can infinite reality give these words? For that you have to come to Sunday morning or listen. That chapter is almost over, but you can listen to that, the glory of the Guru. See? So the sambandha is that if we study this Upanishad in the right manner, with discrimination, by being subjective, then all our problems will be over once and for all. On one hand we say, I already told you that, on one hand we say dukkha nivritti, all problems will be over, and on the other hand we say nirvana or sukha prapti or nirankusha trupti. Nirankusha means that trupti, that contentment which is without a hook, not because of anything. So there is no cause and effect. That contentment which is free of all desires is the natural state. See? So in this manner, this first part, the Sambandha Bhashya, is over. Tomorrow means next week, we'll begin with the first verse and along with the Bhashya. I hope you are enjoying it. It's not too much to... Is it okay? You are enjoying?
Very enjoyable, Swamiji. Very, very much. Very much.
Okay.
Nice.
It takes me a whole week to prepare, man.
That's very good.
But good. I am also enjoying it. And my Sanskrit will get better with this.
That's very good.
Okay. So,
Really getting...
Yes, Hari Om.
enjoy the contemplation. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Sit quietly for half a minute. Afterwards, you say Hari Om. Hari Om.